Do you think you're psychic? Well, maybe you are. This is Skull Babylon, and you're about to listen to another inspirational and empowering episode of Paradigm Shift Radio. In this episode, we take steps towards reminding ourselves that maybe we can all be psychic, and more importantly, shift our understanding of what being psychic even means. And a good example of two people who are in tune with the potentials are our wonderful guests of this episode, Lightworker twins Gianna and Genevieve. In this episode, we cover some epic community news involving the recent boost of viral love hitting the grid, and segue into some thought-provoking and guidance-assisting conversation about how any of us can begin to become more aware of the ocean of energy around us. Gianna and Genevieve have been making videos on YouTube for years and are adamant about sharing their gifts to help others develop theirs. So keep working on your gifts and be inspired by all the work we're doing together to help boost the world. Visit ParadigmShiftCentral.com to browse more inspirational media and ripple the waves out further by starting a Paradigm Shift community in your location. Like us on Facebook, hug your friends, and enjoy the show. The time is now. That's right, it's time to start the show and engage with another episode of Paradigm Shift Radio. This is your dedicated co-host, comrade in arms and light and love, Skull Babylon, aka Brendon Wolfshield Culleton, and we are here tuned in for another inspirational, educational, and an exciting community-driven show through Paradigm Shift Radio. So a big shout out to everybody who is tuned in and who's joining us in the live chat, and we will be having on some really interesting guests tonight, a couple of them, in fact, as in a couple of twins, Gianna and Genevieve, who have been creating a lot of videos on YouTube, like many of us out there, sharing their thoughts and just looking to help people be able to see more of what there is to see by acting as a mirror of reflection. And through the act of sharing ideas and sharing perception, it just helps all of us just get a better idea, a better picture, a better understanding of what the bigger picture is in itself. So we'll be talking a bit about that tonight, and of course, also the idea of I mean, when they're twins, you just sort of naturally presume that they already have that innate telepathic psychic ability, the link between them. I mean, that's kind of a common societal thing, but of course it can be between twins, but why can't it be between other people? So shout out to anybody if you are in the live chat and you think you're psychic, put an 1111 in the live chat, and for that recognition and get some engagement through that way. So hold on, as I am actually just multitasking and trying to get Gianna and Genevieve actually coordinated. Just technical things that we are dealing with. But of course, I do want to fill people in on some of the awesome, epic community news that has been happening most recently within Paradigm Shift London. And of course, for those of you who haven't tuned in before, Paradigm Shift Radio is a show that is a branch of Paradigm Shift Central. And ParadigmShiftCentral.com is a hub for global interactive communities. A global, well, it is interactive, a global, connected, interactive, global community of paradigm shift communities, which exists globally. And these communities, of course, are about promoting open-mindedness, healthy living, and the evolution of consciousness. And the thing that's really been on the radar recently is this whole shiftivism thing. And shiftivism, not only is it a new word, so we'll have to get used to saying it and using it. Shiftivism is the act of showing love to help assist in the awakening of consciousness. And I do take credit. I mean, I will say I do take credit for being the first person to use it. But I wouldn't say I invented it in the sense that how could it not be? It's just like a byproduct of the universe itself. Shiftivism just sounds like a logical word to use to describe some of this shifty behavior that many of us are involved with. And lately, in terms of shiftivism within Paradigm Shift London, and of course, big shout out to everybody who is in London, Ontario, who is listening to the show, whether it be it's right now, obviously you're listening to it, whether it be in the future past or the future, either way. We do want people to just know that Paradigm Shift London is a place that we have open discussion, open-minded discussion, and meditation every Friday at the Downtown Yoga Studio, 236 Dundas Street, right across from Central Library. And I think after what me and a couple of new friends got up to on the weekend, I think a lot more people are going to hear word about Paradigm Shift London, and the meetings that we were having are just fantastic. The last meeting that we had on Friday, there was at least 20 people, and really noticeably very like good energy came out of it. It was a really awesome experience, and our good friend Sheila Jackson, who I will give a shout out to. Sheila Jackson, and I apologize because I'm not totally sure on what her new website is, but you can find her through Facebook, and I'll link her into the Facebook notes, and people in Paradigm Shift London will hear about her again. She's just a personal friend of mine who has actually known me from before like this whole Paradigm Shift thing started about 5 years ago within Fanshawe College, of course, and there will be events in Fanshawe College. I'll just say that now. The first one's October 2nd. If you're in Fanshawe College, I'll just tell you real quick. October 2nd, this Wednesday, is our first club meeting, and we will be having our table set up during Club's Day outside of the bookstore. So for anybody in Fanshawe College, feel free to check it out and say hello, and we'll probably have some buttons around. But anyways, of course, there's a lot to talk about, and the main thing that we want to do is be able to make this information accessible. Hold on. Not yet. I'm just like talking to the twins. And 1 second. Yeah, again, well, everybody's in the live chat. Just tell me where you guys are from, and just give me 1 second here. So give me shout outs from all the different locations that we got right now. I gotta call in through the Blog Talk Radio link on the page next to the host number. To the host number you see. 1 second. So, for anybody else looking to call in, of course, you can call in using Skype or a regular phone. We're just trying to get their Skype working, but it will work. It will work. Either way, I do got a couple stories that I just wanted to fill people in on. And, of course, if you haven't checked out ParadigmShiftCentral.com, check it out because there's a lot new awesome videos that are up there. And, in particular, the video that I literally just put up, like, before this show started. I mean, part of the reason why the energy of today has been, like, just really engaged for me. I mean, I started off my day being Batman. I'm Batman. And then from there, I just edited the video of the events that happened last night. And last night was Saturday, September 29th or 28th, and it was the homecoming in London, like for UWO, the University of Western Ontario, which I am an alumni with. So what was happening downtown, and this is what the video is, there was just so many students because Western won, go Stags, and basically everyone was downtown and they're celebrating. There's a lot of good energy to begin with, and me and my buddy Tyler, who I synchronistically ran into the day before while giving out free hugs, me and him went out and had 2 signs, and we were giving free hugs and just working a variety of tactics, and we did it during the day. Then we came back and we did it during the evening, and just so much magic manifested out of it. And that's exactly what Paradigm Shift is about, and that's why I'm informing you about this. The show in itself is like a chance for us to be able to share field reports of the shift, the consciousness, the awakening process that is happening immediately where you are. And I think in some cases, London is, the things that are happening in London are happening in a very exciting way. I mean, Paradigm Shift began here as one club, and we want to be able to say that, yes, because things can happen here in London, we want things to be able to happen everywhere else. Things can happen anywhere else. So, try refreshing the page. No, I don't know. Sorry, Gianna and Genevieve, I mean, I presume they can hear the show. You guys may want to call in with your phone, and I'll just, like cover the costs or whatever. I mean, it's not a big deal. So, but anyways. So this video that we made of yesterday of me and my buddy going out and giving free hugs, and then other people came up with us and they're like, hey, can we use that sign? Like, you guys are having fun with that. We want to have some fun too. We want to share love and show love and give people hugs and everything. So I'm like, well, I did bring some extra signs, which I strategically did. So in total, we had between like 3 and 4 free hug signs, and it started off the day, and these 2 girls like came up, and then basically they said like, we want to see who gets more hugs, like the girls or the guys, and it turned out to be like, you know, super even. You just lose track because like everybody's getting so many hugs. But this was just a wonderful expression of just like people connecting, and I think people want to give free hugs, and if the free hugs are in front of them, for the most part, they will, under certain circumstances. In this case, post a victorious football game and slightly intoxicated, which helps loosen up the spirit. I think is an easy way of looking at it, which is great, which is exactly why we did it, because we knew it was going to be, off the train. We knew it was off the chain train. We knew it was going to be like Trill Cray. So that's basically what happened. And in the evening, it was even more Trill Cray. And basically, we met so many awesome people. And it happened after I left. I had to go catch the bus, and Tyler, Rebecca, and our new buddy Jonathan, and possibly other people were still out there. And they were like free hugging it until I don't even know. I didn't hear back from them right away. But shout out to Tyler, because I know he's listening into the show. Shout out to Tyler. Shout out to everybody who Tyler knows, and shout out to London, Ontario in general. So definitely looking forward to being out there again at Central and Richmond on future nights, and just seeing it evolve and seeing it as like, not just like a chance, because I mean, those of you who check in the past, like, yes, these free hug opportunities are a chance to promote Paradigm Shift London and everything, but like not even having to do it for that, doing it for the sake of just sharing free hugs. So I mean, if other people start walking around town with free hugs, I mean, just like, don't overdo it. Of course, you want to sort of save it for occasions. It's not a party if you do it every day, so to speak. But yes, you do want to give don't get me wrong, you want to give hugs every day. It's just not every day that you want to like run down the street with a free hug sign, and you want to get people excited about it when they see it. You want it to be like that special something that they don't have every day, and then just be like, yes, like, oh, of course. And that goes viral. And I think that will go viral. And of course, people listening into this, wherever location you are in, just bringing you up to speed, you know that what we are totally about is the idea of people starting up their own paradigm shift communities where they are. So, hold on, I just got to multitask here. If anybody wants to, no, because I want to be able to get Gianna and Genevieve on. I think they're just doing it. They're trying to call in through Skype. You shouldn't have to. Okay, so Gianna and Genevieve, if you're listening to this, just like reload on the Blog Talk page and click the Skype icon next to the host number, and you should be able to launch Skype. It will say, like, do you want to call in, and then you just click OK. So, yeah, and it will take them a second here. I apologize, guys. But I do have more stuff that I want to fill you in on, and I just got to make sure that they get, like, the information on how to do this properly. So let me just see 1 second. I don't want to just like I was like, can I just like play something really quick that'll just like keep them occupied while I try and sort this out? Theoretically, but you know what? I got a better idea. Okay, I'm just gonna bring on my backup co-host. So I'm just gonna throw it over to Chewbacca. So over to you, Chewie. That's it, Chewie. Keep him busy, Chewie. Tell him the news. This is even harder. I'm like trying to tell Chewie what to say and trying to talk at the same time. Yeah, and you don't hear 2 out of 6 streams, blah, blah, does nothing. Really? Okay, just try reloading stuff. Chewie, man, what's going on over there? Well, I know, Chewie, I'm getting back to that. Just give me a second. Well, Chewie, don't worry, we'll get to that. I do appreciate the sentiment, though, so, anyways. Okay, Chewie, thank you, Chewie, and Gianna and Genevieve, I'm sure you'll be able to get it sorted out in some sort of divine cosmic order, and plan B, just call in with your phone if you feel it's at the point where it's not going to work for you for whatever reason. So, thank you, Chewie, helping cover that. Get an 1111 in live chat if you guys love Chewie, so... Anyway, so the free hugs thing is definitely something that we want to see in other locations. And of course, if you go to ParadigmShiftCentral.com, I recently put up a video, and you'll find it in the next few days, in the how to start a community page of the website. And of course, ParadigmShiftCentral.com/start a community, or just go through the website, you'll find it under the navigation. And lots of love for Chewie, lots of 1111 for Chewie. So. So if you go there, you'll see a recent video that we put up midweek. Like, so between last show and this show, I actually put up a video class that we did, and it was instructing about how to start up a paradigm shift community. So I'll embed that into the YouTube of this episode. And starting up a paradigm shift community, the bare bones of it, basically a Facebook page and then physical meetings where you can hang out with your friends and talk about stuff and practice meditation, and then reaching out to tell more people about it, and just having these physical meetings as a place where you can constantly come back to, and seeing what develops out of that in terms of friendship and community and the knowledge that you share, and just how much you can boost each other and elevate each other as a community. So everybody's a student, everybody's a teacher. That's what paradigm shift communities are about. So okay, fingers crossed that Gianna and Genevieve will be able to call in. But yeah, I was gonna tell you a couple other things. So it's cool. It's cool. We're just chilling out now, and we will have some people calling in later on in the show. I mean, theoretically, Tyler, if you're listening to this, you're welcome to call in at this point real quick, and I'll see you in the queue. And if Gianna and Genevieve don't jump on, then I'm gonna just create that option for you to jump on, and you can just like reiterate how the experience was for you yesterday with the free hugs. And so basically the free hugs thing, if you go to the main website, there's a lot to go through, but it's all there. It's all there to be utilized, and there's a part of the website, paradigmshiftcentral.com/tools, and on there you'll find the print files for a variety of graphics that you can use to engage with your community in acts of shiftivism, and such as the free hug signs, and such as like other signs, two-person signs, which are really awesome, and we'll probably see more of those in London eventually, and of course the posters and the things in the pamphlets, and those are all useful, so people can do what we did. Like, seriously, like, I know there's a part of you that's just like, that's a crazy idea, but I mean, call it crazy if you want, but yeah, it just takes something that part of us says that a part of us is just like, don't do this, but the more you step out and do it, the more like that voice like sort of begins to like silence itself, and you're just like, well, what was that voice in the first place, right? So interesting idea that I was thinking about the other day, and it was actually while listening to Terrence McKenna doing a presentation with some Q&A, but just sort of thinking about the idea of our thoughts. Like, we are not our thoughts. We in ourselves are the experience of thoughts, of the process of tuning into thoughts. So think of it as if we exist in an ocean of thoughts, and at all time, all we're doing is just like tuning in to different thoughts at different times, in the same way you can tune into like different emotions and stuff too. So yeah, that was just kind of an interesting idea to think about, like utilizing more control over like the thoughts that we have on everyday basis, and mindfulness in general. And we'll talk about more of that stuff once the twins get sorted out and on here eventually. But some other things that I did want to mention, of course, so check out that video. It's actually up on the main website now. You can find it there. I got it embedded, and Love is Viral is the name of it. So I would love to see the viralness of this love through anybody who is inspired to share it. And I think the video turned out really great. Like, I edited it in like barely under an hour and stuff, and there wasn't like too much like hassle in doing it. It really synced in, which is the sign of a good experience, the sign of like being in that intuition, where I didn't film everything while we were doing free hugs. There was only like a couple moments I'm like, okay, like now is the time to just get a little bit of footage, and not even too much, just enough to create like this nice like 5-minute thing. And there's definitely some real gems within the moments that we did capture on camera. So check it out, be inspired by it, share it, make the love viral, and print out a free hug sign for yourself, and do it on like a piece of paper that's not just flimsy, and go out there and engage with your community. And if you want to do the pamphlets on you, if you want to have the generic Paradigm Shift radio pamphlets, if you want people to find out about this show as something to talk about, even, and just introduce them and be like, hey, you know, you might be interested, there's this radio show that they do every now and then, and it's really cool, and you might learn a thing or two in the process, and it's unlike anything else that is ever happening, like ever before, which you could say about anything. Everything's happening for the first time, which is why we love it when people are tuned into the show live, because you can only do the show live once. Maybe that's incredibly an obvious thing to say, but when you really think about it, that in itself creates value as to why it's cool to be here within this moment, and why when we can get more people tuned in right now, not future now, not past now, but right now, it's really cool, because we create the opportunity to really set forth intentions and just amplify and reintegrate thoughts of love. Because I mean, if you listen to the show for a while, you'll hear some things that are repeated. And if you go to a paradigm shift meeting for a while, you'll hear things that are repeated. But the purpose behind that is because the more you repeat something, the more you become it, the more you embody it, the more you begin to project it and see it. In the same way that our society right now is structured around the idea of repeating the negative, and I use the term negative loosely, but repeating like those things that are just like, not the news that you necessarily want to hear, and just beating you down and feeding you horrible food at the same time, and just keeping you like in a place where it's not really in your best interest. But if you can begin to repeat the positive, which is what this show is about, we talked about this on the last episode, and which is what this whole thing is about, which is about the free loves and this like revolution. I mean, this is a revolution. It's a revolution of just like changing the way how we see each other and just our interaction and really being able to help one another. So, okay, hold on. I'm just getting some messages in the live chat, shout out to everybody in the live chat from Gianna and Genevieve. So Gianna and Genevieve, I would just recommend you guys can call in with your phone. And I guess Tyler can't call in with his phone. Maybe he's listening to this on his phone right now. I'm not totally sure. Or maybe he's just like, I don't know. What? Okay, hold on. Sending for Skype account. I want to do the kid call in. Yeah, something like that. Skype icon. So if you guys, I apologize to everybody. I mean, it's been a busy day. I mean, I did mention earlier today, like I was Batman, so I didn't have time to fully sort out like pre-show stuff. I do a job on part-time weekends. I dress up as superheroes for kids' birthdays, which is another awesome like thing that I actually did want to talk about. Is like the idea of like psychedelic superheroes, and psychedelic meaning nothing to do with like entheogens. I mean, psychedelic with being the idea of like that spirit-mind higher connection, psyche, delos, God-like self-embodiment. I am the universe. You are me. I am you, namaste type idea is what I mean when I say psychedelic. So psychedelic superheroes are basically the people who are going out there and who are doing this free hug stuff. So I mean, it's a type of superhero that doesn't require a cape or a mask or a fancy suit, which I think is totally awesome and totally something that I'm excited to see come into fruition, because that's definitely where I'm at. I mean, I want to see like superheroes. I want to see more people become superheroes. I think of myself as a psychedelic superhero in the sense that I set forth intention and I go out of my way to make people's days, and I accomplish it too. So through that accomplishment, you gain courage and confidence, and you begin to do it more and more. And then other people begin to see that, and other people begin to do it more and more. And it's this viral thing. I mean, viral has nothing to do with virus in a negative sense. Viral is this idea of an idea that is in some sort of higher interest of a society or a community itself that it naturally will adopt. So, one second, I haven't learned to read, type, and talk at the same time yet. I mean, I can multitask pretty good. I'm just not quite at that level yet. That's why I need a robot secretary. Anyways, okay. All right, okay, somebody's calling in. I'm just going to have to see who this person is, because this could be either Gianna or Genevieve. Gianna and Genevieve, or it could be my buddy Tyler. I'm pretty sure it's my buddy Tyler. Okay, yeah, no, it definitely is. Gianna and Genevieve, please let me know where your status is at. And like I said, Gianna and Genevieve, just call in with your phone, and then like I'll like e-transfer you money, and you can like get minutes back on your phone, and everything will be a-okay. And of course, one thing that I do have to mention is something that is totally awesome, and I'll just do this before I bring on Tyler, is the idea that this episode is the first official sponsored episode of Paradigm Shift Radio. And of course, a big shout out for that sponsor goes out to Paul Bogey Brighton, who many of you know. He's been on the show in the past, and his website is www.thewayof.co.uk. And Paul is not only an admin of a Paradigm Shift community in the UK, he is also a very, very awesome man, very intelligent, has a lot to say, and his website has a lot to do with understanding the subtle energies that are everything, that are in our body. So I mean, Tai Chi, Qigong, things like that, but also like martial arts and meditation and self-healing and Reiki and all sorts of empowerment and paradigm shifty skills that you would want to learn if you were leveling up to like be a Dragon Ball Z character, if you're like trying to become like that sort of like wizard type character. So if you want to become like kind of like a ninja wizard, like myself, like a techno ninja wizard is something I often refer to myself when people ask like, what are you? Like, I can just techno ninja wizard. Like, isn't it obvious? So if you want to become another techno ninja wizard or just a ninja wizard in general, then www.thewayOf.co.uk is the best website ever, and you want to check it out. So thank you so much for Paul for all your support, and we'll be hearing from Paul eventually. I mean, even possibly this episode, if there's time, Paul could perhaps even jump in on some of the conversation once we get Gianna and Genevieve all set, and even just tell us a little bit more about the website. So thank you to everybody, and thank you to Paul as well. So I'm just double checking anything else I want to talk about. So and one other thing I can talk about is just the shift buttons real quick and how awesome those are. And check those out at paradigmshiftcentral.com/buttons, paradigmshiftcentral.com/buttons, and check those out because those are something that you can use to help connect and meet people in your community in a way that will help solidify relationship. It will help you make people who will become your friend within that moment. And it's not to do with the materialistic thing of a button. It's have to do with the sincerity of the action of a gift. And that website, like the button has the websites on it, so it will also tell them about the radio show. So again, you can give a person a free hug, or just walk up to someone and be like, hey, I have a gift for you, like I think you might appreciate this, like here's a free button, and tell them, like feel free to check out the website, some really cool stuff, and they'll be like, cool, thanks, awesome. So again, shift buttons are freaking ballin', like they are just like so trill cray, and if people get those, then that's definitely going to help boost and use buttons to help create that initial plant, that initial that's what I'm saying. Like if you use the buttons, what took me months, several months to get to in terms of people who I knew at the very beginning of when I started this, you could accomplish that in a single day. So each button is a new friend who you can connect with, so a new ally. And of course, they have some awesome consciousness and thought-provoking designs on them. So people in London, Ontario, Canada, I will say, and for anybody in other places who has multiple buttons, people with buttons, keep an eye open for other people with buttons. That's how we can recognize each other. You'll hear me use the term shifters. I mean, if that's kind of a colloquial term you can throw on it. So it helps shifters recognize other shifters. It helps people who are pulled towards that information, who are interested, who are pulled towards the idea of expressing that interest. It helps them find each other, and it helps build community in a way that is just next level. So hacking the matrix, that is definitely what I'm about, and that is what we are doing. We are hacking the matrix. So Skull Babylon, Rebirth from Within, starting to make more sense the more and more you hear it. Get it? Got it. All right, so I'm going to bring Tyler on, and Tyler's just going to chat for a bit. And again, this is my buddy Tyler, who I met last Friday night doing free hugs with only a 10-minute span. Literally, I was between things, and I was like, all right, I'm just going to stand here and do free hugs for 10 minutes and do my button thing. And within that 10 minutes, Tyler walked past me, turned around, and barely saw me, sort of thing. And then right away he connected, saw the Eye of Ra button that I so commonly wear, and I told him, check this meeting out. And the next day we had the Look Festival, which I gotta just say was so awesome. Look Festival, www.lookitsaparty.com. You would have heard me talk about that in the past. It's the 4th year we've done that. It's a great festival put on by I'm one of the people who helped put a lot of energy behind it. This year, so many other people help carry that energy even further, and it's just a great place that it's a great event, and it'll happen again. And it's a eco and arts festival. And so Tyler was there, I was there. Shout out to everybody who was at Look Fest and all the awesomeness that came out of that. And so Tyler then hung out with me that day, and that within the same day it was the homecoming, and then we went out and did free hugs. And so Tyler, I'm bringing you onto the air at hold time of 5:55. So here we go. Yo, Tyler, can you hear me?
Yeah, buddy. Yeah.
Yo, man, Tyler, my brother.
What's up, buddy?
Trill cray, man. This is just
trill cray, buddy.
So trill cray. So trill cray. All right, man. Well, thank you for being here, man. I'm actually really excited about this.
No problem, buddy. It's the first time I've listened to the show. I mean, like you said, I just met you Friday, and I mean, just to sort of stumble into this whole new world, and even just hear someone, just a couple of years older than me having a radio show like this, just so well put together and everything. It's quite astounding, buddy. I've been really enjoying listening to it, and first week I meet you to call in and actually be a part of it, man. It means the world to me, buddy.
Mm-hmm. For sure, man. Like, we had some good conversations, and synchronicity brought us together, and the willpower that we put forth from here will utilize something like epic out of it. So, definitely, I mean, that's what I'm saying. And we were kind of like joking about this. Like, I think there's guys like us in like every city, and so I mean, just we got to connect, and it was awesome connecting with you, and now there's like this.
Yeah, buddy.
This is like
they're
real.
They're all
like,
troll cray.
So troll cray, man. Like, now everybody's gonna be saying that. I'm glad.
Yeah, not yet, buddy.
We'll see. I hope they're giving out free hugs sooner than they're saying troll cray. So
that's all you need. That's all you can ask for, buddy.
Yeah,
You can ask for.
So yeah, man, first-hand experience. What was that like for you? I know you mentioned it a little bit in the video, but yeah, just give me some more insight.
Yeah, and like I said, buddy, it was absolutely amazing to just stand on the street. I mean, I just see you doing it by yourself. The night before was just absolutely crazy to see that, and then to see what it developed and do over one day with people that you had no idea, that I had no idea who they were, to just come in and want to do it too. Like, hugs all around, like you said in the video, man. There must have been 500, 1,000 hugs. You don't even know. You lose count because you're just so happy every time you get to give one to someone. So it was definitely a surreal experience, and something that, I mean, you're going to see me out with that free hug sign again, but I mean, hopefully we can just keep spreading the love and making this thing happen, buddy.
Yeah, man. Yeah, and I will say, just on the incredibly off chance that like the police at UWO are not listening to this, but for anybody no, because it's serious. Because anybody who's like on campus, you just got to be mindful of Agent Smith on campus, and just in the sense that like I had a conversation with the UWO police just because they're like, well, technically this is soliciting, and technically we're a company because that's what this institution is, and technically this is private property. So if you are doing it, you just got to be extra ninja about it. And just like, again, go back. I've talked about this in the how to create a community very, very briefly. I can get into it in more detail, but again, just it's love. I mean, it's love. Love will find a way. Love will find a way up through the dirt, like up through that crack. Like there's pictures on the internet of like a plant growing up through pavement. Like that's what we are, man. Like that is like we'll find each other. We'll connect. It'll happen, and people will start seeing it. And shout out to everybody at UWO. So if you see me around at UWO, then like that's just next level manifesting right there, man. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, but even like for me, like when I just sort of like I said, sort of just stumbling into this, I had no idea that any of this was happening, and I've been doing all this stuff on my own, thinking I was the only one out there, and it'd be crazy for anyone we can show that anyone who just sort of stumbles into it to sort of walk into this community who's been doing it for years, and has all this force behind them, and just being able to encompass that force together and just keep it growing stronger and stronger until we see the change that we want to see every day. So it's
Yeah, man, like straight up, like we're all that superhero. We're all that psychedelic superhero. Like that's what I was telling the kids.
Batman with a tutu, buddy. Batman with a tutu.
Batman with a tutu, that's right. Yes, the Batman with a tutu like metaphor. That's what we were talking about last night. Like the idea. Okay, this is like not. It's not. It is related. Batman in a tutu. So the idea is because this is what happened today. Like I was going to a girl's birthday party, and my superhero job, and I dressed up as Batman, and it was two young girls, and I'm like, you know what? Going into this, I'm like, Batman's gotta do. Like you just gotta do what you gotta do, man. Like if those young girls want Batman to like wear a tutu and sit down and have tea time, then Batman's gonna wear a tutu, sit down, and have tea time. Like, yeah. And to be honest, like that didn't happen.
I'm sorry to hear that, buddy. I'm sorry to hear that.
But it definitely it actually was like a trip in itself. And I just did want to mention, and I'll mention this real quick. And we actually do have Gianna and Genevieve ready to go, so we'll switch gears in a second. But
yeah, buddy,
what I told the kids, you get the kids all around you and everything, and like I didn't talk to them like this. Like I just didn't think it was necessary. Like I was just like kind of talking almost in my radio voice and just like engaging so they could understand the words coming out of my mouth. So, but basically, I told them, I'm like, remember, because at that point, I swear them in as superheroes. They all become superheroes, and I'm like, do you promise to stand for truth and justice? And they're like, yeah. And like, do you promise to like give free hugs to your friends? And they're like, yeah. And like, do you promise to like help your friends? And like, yeah. And like basically, throughout the day, I was actually like getting the kids to like hug each other because I told them like this whole story of like the Joker was robbing a bank, and like the cops tried to stop him, and they tried everything, and then I'm like, yeah, and then I just walked in there and like walked right up to him and started talking to him, and I asked him how he felt, and then I gave him a hug, and then like the Joker surrendered. So I'm like, see kids, so like the true power, the moral of the story, the true power behind being a superhero, like isn't about like the mask or the suit or the super abilities or anything. Like it's about like the love that we share.
Not at all.
It is the love that we share with people.
That's a great way to end me out, buddy. Good way to cut me out, make me feel happy, make me feel good, man. So you have a good rest of the night, and I'll be listening to the rest of the show. So and I know I'll see you soon, buddy. So have a good night, man. Love you, buddy.
Soon enough, man. All right, thanks again, Tyler. Take care, dude. One love.
You too, bud.
All right, awesome. Okay, so from that, we'll jump into Gianna and Genevieve and bring them on, and I guess that's even synchronicity in itself. That today, like I had a birthday. Like the birthday was like for two young girls. They must have only been like a year apart, or they were 2 years apart. And now we have like two other girls who, in this case, are like only 14 minutes apart, give or take. And so introducing them, I will say that again, they've been doing awesome stuff. They've been creating all these like videos on the internet just because, and a lot of people know about them, and a lot of people's lives have been changed because of them, and they continue to they continue to go through their own path, as we all do. Like they don't claim to be perfect in the same way that like no one should. And I think that's like a really cool thing, is that like there is like a very human element to what comes through in the work, in the love that they share. So without needing to say much more, we're going to bring Gianna and Genevieve, and check out their YouTube at youtube.com/crystalstarseed444. So here we go. Hello, Gianna and Genevieve.
Hello. Hi.
Hi. Okay, perfect. Awesome. Well, thanks for using your neighbor's phone so we could get this working.
Yeah. Oh my God, so difficult. We're giving him a free house clearing now.
Yeah. Well, that's no problem, because I mean, like, it's things like that. Like when things just sort of happen when they happen like that. Like in retrospect, look at the result. Like Tyler got to slide in there, and he was pretty happy about that, and some more bonus love came out of it, and now here we are. So nothing lost, right?
Mhm. Definitely.
Cool.
Oh, by the way, we're 5 minutes apart.
Sorry, you're how much?
5 minutes.
5 minutes? Whoa, okay, crazy. Yeah, and then there was like, and then Tyler's whole time was literally 555, and you guys say like you resonate with like triple numbers, or at least Johnny, you said that.
Yeah, I actually said 555 in the last video because it popped up.
Oh, trippy, yeah. And I think, like we can talk about that, like the idea of like what hypothesis could it mean when we see like repeated numbers, when we see like 1111, when we see these synchronistic symbolic messages coming back to us from the universe trying to communicate with itself. And again, we'll get more into that. But just on the top of it, I'm just curious, what do you girls think about like the free hugs idea? And have you done something similar? Like what could I see you like going out there and doing free hugs soon? Is that to be expected?
I think that's very cool and stuff, and I would not be opposed to doing that. Yeah, we were actually going to do it before we moved to Kansas in our, hometown, but I don't know if we're going to do it here anytime soon. We need to, like, check out the vibes of the area first.
Yeah. Definitely. You do have to get a feel for the area, because I will just say, in terms of in terms of like the free hugs, ideally if you can find a spot that is like a good place for you to stand still, then that's like something you want to look for. So yeah, you want to like scout out and feel out the area to find that spot that works for you. So could be in front of a yoga studio, who knows? Yeah. Cool. But yeah, anyways, I mean, yeah, like just in the idea of like free hugs and stuff, like I mean, how much, I mean, for people who maybe like are tuning into this idea of this show and haven't really thought too much about this before, like what sort of difference in your girl's mind do you think something as simple as free hugs can make if that were to like catch on?
Well, I think it kind of like instills the idea that, there's hope for the human race, for the people that are just like,
hope, yes.
I don't like anybody, and I'm just going to stay in my house and watch Netflix because I don't like people. Or, if somebody's just having like a bad day or something and they're just feeling like beaten emotionally, and it's an awesome thing to see. A hug is, like especially like heart to heart, can be very healing, especially if the person like dishing out the hug has some loving intentions, it can definitely send some healing to their subconscious, whether they like consciously pick up on it or not. So it can definitely make a difference. Yeah, I was actually doing some of the free hugs thing a few years ago at this it's called Saturday in the Park in like in our hometown, and it was pretty cool. Like, it was just like a yearly music festival type of thing. Yeah.
Right, yeah. Like, I think it's cool when like you can sort of do the free hugs thing in a place where like people wouldn't expect it. Like, you could almost do it in like the lunch court of like a business sort of center or something. Like, I think that would be kind of cool. Just like, because you'd expect that. I mean, you know, a bunch of people walking by with like briefcases and stuff like that. Just observe like how many of them will like consciously like not make eye contact, like look away from you, and without any even judgment, just observe it. I think that would just be a very interesting observation thing to be engaged with. But then out of all that, even if there's like a 1% chance that you might hug one person, that still makes it worth it. You know, like that's the cool part.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
Very cool.
Actually, like just in theme with that, like there was this crazy story that actually came out of what we were doing last night with the free hugs, and the one guy who just sort of joined in with us, his name was Jonathan. He like literally was just like one of the people who we hugged, and then he just stuck around for like the rest of the night basically. I guess he was from out of town actually, and he said that like he hugged one guy, and then that guy like really like they stopped and they talked for a second, and you know the guy was just saying like, hey, you know, I really needed that hug, and I'm not sure if he verbally said it, but like sort of like really expressing direction towards like deep depression and potentially suicide or something. He said, you know, like, you know, I was gonna like go home and ... But he said that like that hug in itself, like just like you said, I mean, it gave him hope. It reminded him that people genuinely care about him. And I think sometimes when we sort of get into those like states of like lower vibration or emotion, it's amazing what can happen when you're reminded that you are loved for. So, I mean, just feel free to like jump upon that idea, because I mean, I'm more interested in just hearing you guys sort of bounce around some inspirational thoughts and so forth.
Yeah. Have you heard of like a Zen hug? I think that's what it's called.
Go ahead, inform us.
Oh, it's pretty much something, I don't know, I guess you are like supposed to do it with somebody that you're like close with or whatever, so it's not like weird or something, but you just pretty much like hug the person for a while, and you know, like when someone hugs you for a while and it's just like, oh my god, I'm getting uncomfortable, all right, let's stop. It's
right.
You keep hugging through that, and
yes.
Because what that is apparently is an emotional barrier that like comes to the surface, because it's like love shines a light on you, and everything that's like hiding in the shadows comes up, so to speak, and brings all those things to the surface, and like you're supposed to hug through them, and it's supposed to be like really healing and stuff.
Yeah. Like I think it's actually really cool when you can do that, when you can like sync your breath up with a person in a hug. That like definitely like brings it to a whole nother place. Definitely. Cool. Okay. Well, at this point, I mean, unless Gianna or Genevieve, unless you have more to talk about in themes with hugs, I will just sort of say that we can take questions from the live chat, and if people do want to call in, let's just wait until a little bit, but just be aware that we will open the lines up within maybe like the last like 45 minutes of the show or 30 minutes of the show, and anybody can call in. So whether you're just like a new listener or whether you've been watching Gianna and Genevieve's work for a while, you can call in through the regular host number, which is like using a cell phone, or you can call in through Skype, and the host number is 347-539-5493, 347-539-5493. But if you call in through Skype, it will like, you know, no distance charge, and you just got to do that through the Blog Talk link. There's a Skype icon next to the host number. Feel free to do that, and that's the basics. But yeah, like hugs are awesome, definitely. Like, okay, girls, just like join in on this in the conversation opposed to an interview is definitely like something that we do here on Paradigm Shift Radio. So okay. Segue from like hugs into psychic abilities, like just like jump in that shark, even though that's not really the right metaphor, because like I think there is that obvious connection, because like when you do hug someone, like you like, have you guys ever had, I mean, I don't know, have you guys ever had that where you've like hugged someone and actually like shared their mind or could read them in a different way? Or do you think hypothesize?
I haven't really experienced it while hugging someone, but I've experienced it while being, you know, in the vicinity of somebody where, I don't know, sometimes either they're just thinking things really loudly or just like they're so focused on like a certain intent that they kind of radiate it like out into the environment so you can kind of pick up on it. I guess it just like has to do with how sensitive you are to like environment. Yeah, if you're picking up on it or not. Or just how connected you are to like somebody that you're picking up on, I guess, too. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, I think definitely when you start to hang out with a person, like you can become like more attuned to their frequency, like as your frequencies become similar. And like I mean, I use the term frequency, and I don't really think of that as like woo woo. Like I think of that as the idea that everything is vibration. And when things like are on a similar wavelength, there's that ability for communication to occur, so to speak. So yeah. I mean, yeah, like you guys, just putting that question out there. I mean, you guys tell me, like, how psychic are we as humans, or like what does that even mean to you, or how do we become more psychic?
Well, I don't know. This kind of makes me think about this one person who kind of addressed us at one point and asked us why we charge for our psychic readings or whatever you want to call them, our sessions, whatever. And they're like, God didn't charge you for your gift, so why are you charging to share it with people? And we kind of explained that, you know, everybody is capable of achieving this, and it's our gift that we've utilized and we've worked with. And worked for, yeah, exactly. And when just, you know, kind of like an artist, they sell their paintings, they work, you know, to develop their skills. And yeah, it's definitely something that can be achieved as long as people are willing to, like, you know, put the effort in, because we've mentored quite a few people from our hometown, and a few of them stuck with it, and a few of them were just like, oh, this is too much, and a lot of people just lack the drive also. So it's really interesting to see, like, how committed people are to developing their gifts, because a lot of people are like, oh, you know, we all have our own unique gifts, which we all do, but in a broad sense, we're all capable of, you know, being sensitive to the energies around us, and that's really what we're doing. Yeah, and we're just kind of like more picking up on them and deciphering them, and you know, and we're relaying the message. Yeah, and we're all just kind of more like predispositioned to like a certain closed offness. Well, no, like a more kinds of gifts. I don't know, like more people. There's some people that are just like better with like clairaudience. Some are better with clairvoyance, you know, yeah, and just what aspect of themselves they chose to kind of develop and open up. Yeah, and like what they chose, like to is like
yeah.
open. Yeah, but we're all capable of like achieving anything psychic related, really. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the. I mean, you sort of said like the gifts that we choose. I mean, I like the idea that much of who we are now is who we literally chose to be, in the idea that if you were playing like an MMORPG or just a video game, an RPG, a role-playing game on a computer or something, you go through that like character selection phase and you're like, yeah, okay, I'm going to be like a ninja warrior monk, or like maybe I'll be like the healing shaman and stuff, and then you're like, yeah, you select your like initial perks, but also with the idea that you can like unlock other skill branches, other like branchings of like techniques and everything. And I think what you're saying, like the idea that people can actually have, we sort of come in with like something that we're more connected to. So you said like clairaudience and clairsentience. Maybe just for the people listening, can you just give us like some explanation as to like what some of the gifts are as examples?
Yeah. Clairaudience. How I would remember that one was like audience is clairaudience, hearing, like spirits or angels or spirit guides or whatever. Just, you know, like kind of like hearing. It's being more sensitive with your hearing. Yeah. Picking up on other things that other not so in tune people would normally pick up on. And then clairsentience is kind of like just this innate knowing that you I don't know, for example, if you were like to set the intention to tap into something, and anytime you set the intention to tap into something, you're sending your energy towards it, and you're always receiving an energy back anytime you focus on anything. So it's about tapping into the energy you receive back and reading it. Yeah, so you're overwhelmed with the feeling of knowing. Yeah, it's quite fun to try and interpret the words. So. Yeah, and clairvoyance is just like seeing things like auras, spirits, or we like to call them spooks. And like a seeing, you know. And there's like a lot of information to get those.
Oh, it was a little choppy right there, actually. What was the last thing you said?
There's a lot of variations that you can get with gifts or whatever, but that's just the broad ones, I guess, like the basic ones.
So between you two, do you both have similar gifts, or like in some ways your gifts like still unique to yourself?
Well, Gianna and I both have similar gifts, but I guess where we notice we differ in gifts is Gianna is more, she's better with the details, and I'm better with like.
Sorry, you just like chopped up again. Say the last part just a bit.
Gianna, we noticed, is better with like the explanation of the details, and I'm better with explaining the bigger picture aspects of things.
Right. Like, I mean, okay, like how... Sorry, I'm not just trying to, like, put you guys on the spot, but, like, how psychic are you guys between each other, like, in terms of twins and everything?
Well, we occasionally say things at the same time, if that's what you mean.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, like, we definitely, I guess, you know, growing up together our entire lives and, you know, being in the more psychic area, I guess you'd call it, being more psychic or whatever. And plus the whole twin connection thing, we can read each other pretty well. Like, I mean, we really don't need to talk. I don't know why we do. I mean, we can just look at each other. Sometimes when our vocalizing is limited, we'll kind of, you know, joke around and like sometimes freak people out, but sometimes actually, but we'll just stare at each other intensely, you know, and just talk through like, I don't know, like. And kind of give each other facial expressions, like, are you picking up what I'm laying down, kind of a thing, and people look at each other, like, look at us, like, whoa, you guys are, like, talking, like,
Yeah, I can imagine. Sorry, I'm just, like, kind of, like, I am listening, and I'm just, like, multitasking at the same time, and I'll mention it because I wanted to mention it at the top of the hour. Anyways, for everybody who is tuned into the show, this is a final reminder to enter your name into the draw for the free ticket to the 3 Days of Light Gathering and Retreat, Consciousness Festival and Retreat, which is happening October 11th, 12th, 13th in Hot Springs, North Carolina. A festival that I was at last year, and something that is definitely worth checking out. And if you are in the North Carolina area or want to travel a bit, then feel free to message Paradigm Shift Radio on Facebook, so facebook.com/Paradigm Shift Radio. Just message the page. Don't just post on the wall. Message the page and just be like, hey, I want to get entered into the draw, and then we'll announce that within the final 10 minutes of the show. And there's two tickets. There's two tickets that we are giving away, and we'll get to that. And one thing I will also say, and it like kind of like hurts my heart to say it, but we'll get back into what we're talking about with like the psychic stuff, but it just does need to be brought up, is our good friend Phoenix Roldan Smith. A lot of you probably already saw this on Facebook. He is, as far as I understand, still in hospital for complications. Not entirely sure what is up. I'm sure other people have the details, but just sending out lots of love and lots of healing thoughts towards him. Of course, he is also in the journey to Rockmont, 3 Days of Light documentary movie. So, and not to, I'm not trying to promote that, but of course you can go watch that. But of course, Phoenix, we love you and we wish you all the best. And projecting like psychic love energy is something we can do. And I believe there's also a link to support donations for extra, funding medical costs and stuff like that. So we'll post a link up for that in the show note as well. But going back to what we're talking about here with Gianna and Genevieve, I mean, people, I think, get really excited about the idea of, like, being psychic. And one idea that I'm really interested in is the fact that if psychic abilities can happen at all, then what is preventing them from happening all the time is something that's really interesting. And that, like, combined with the idea that psychic abilities cannot, like, it's a hard thing to sort of test, but there is an actual consistency in some reports, in specific with reports through use of psychedelics, which is something that I'm absolutely fascinated in, and it came up in the recent Terence McKenna lecture that I was listening to. But he was talking about this, and it wasn't, just his idea. This was like multiple people, but basically the idea that, like, well, on mushrooms, when in sync with a small group of people, you can actually have that psychic experience. And I'm sure people who are listening to this show will claim to that experience as well. And it's not something I'm entirely too familiar with. I am super interested in it, but again, like, psychic abilities, I think, is something that is innate within our nature. So we're just trying to get a better understanding of what it means to be, like, quote unquote psychic. Gianna and Genevieve, like, what are some things that you could suggest to people that they could, almost apply practically? Like, you mentioned that you were sort of, like, helping give guidance to other people to help develop their gifts and everything. What are some things that you can, like, share with us that people can sort of just keep in mind when trying to develop their psychic abilities, whatever they may be?
Well, something that is definitely, like, I guess, a first step is to become more conscious of the energy side of things. And because a lot of people in this society, like, they don't incorporate that, like, at all. It's like, yeah, they pay attention to their physical body and, their emotions and their, like, mental mind and stuff, but they don't pay attention to, like, their energetic bodies and their energetic environment, which does control and does affect people, like, way more than they realize it. And it's not, sometimes it's not a whole, like, people don't start paying attention to that stuff. So, they're really struggling and they're just so lost that they don't know what else to do. And then it turns out that this energy side was the problem, because you're not maintaining good energetic hygiene, or, you're not keeping your energetic space, like, clear, and it's like you're going to get cloudy and foggy, and, you're not going to have these abilities that other people may have. Because, I mean, it's like, yeah, pretty much like a majority of society, they neglect the spiritual and energetic aspects of themselves. Therefore, so it's pretty much kind of metaphorically speaking, it's like a room in their house they don't use, they don't enter, and it's dusty and dirty, and they don't really know. Yeah, and they don't really know it's there. And so, like, what we did when we began dusting out that room and using it, started meditating regularly, and that kind of took us to that room. Yeah, it took us to that room to clean it out, so to speak. So, and yeah, we've also heard experiences where people, kick open that door with psychedelics, and yeah, that's something that heard can be beneficial, but it's also something that isn't needed. It can be achieved, like, without it also. So yeah, so a lot of people are like, oh yeah, I use psychedelics to open up my spiritual side, and we're like, yeah, that's awesome. And a lot of people also haven't too. So but I mean, I know it's easy to become, like, codependent on, like, those psychedelics to, like, get to tap your spirituality, when it's like, we're spiritual beings, and that's what we are. We don't. That's about like attaining balance through all aspects, even through relationships with things like psychedelics. So use it to kick open the door if you need to, but for those people who don't rely on it to keep you there. Yeah, don't rely on it to keep you there. Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. And we actually had a really good conversation about the topic of psychedelics in our last paradigm shift meeting. It did come up. I mean, it's come up numerous times. And of course, state the obvious here on Paradigm Shift Radio. We are not encouraging the use of, we're not encouraging the illegal use of psychedelics, but we are encouraging the conversation of it, whatever it is in any way. And of course, on top of all that, we encourage you to pursue the path that allows you to develop these skills naturally, because yes, psychedelics does have the potential to, I like what you said, kick open the door of that attic, that spiritual experience, that part of the ocean that we can perceive our thoughts and our emotions through, and it's just totally it shows you it. But then beyond that is the idea that is there all the time, and that energy is there all the time, and there in fact is no such thing as empty space. So I mean, part of the reason why we're psychic is because we literally are in an ocean. And in the same way, sounds travel through water, our emotions move through the space around us, and they interact with the things around us. And I think I had another question in my mind, but I mean, yeah, I just want to ask you guys, remind the people. Well, okay, one thing I was going to say that yes, I think a big part about developing these quote unquote psychic abilities, and I think using psychic abilities, that's just a broad term to being aware of the subtle energies around us, be it the ability to read other people's thoughts, or even just read our own energy, becoming more aware of our individual chakras even. So the idea of connecting with the different elements that the chakras represent within ourselves, and noticing those within our actions and our personalities. So whether it be root chakra, which is very sexual energy based, and then moving up through solar and sacral, and getting up to heart, and of course emotion, and then throat, your voice, and then connecting with the third eye, the brow, connecting and seeing intuition and future and higher self, and then the real crown on the top, opening it up into, well, that in itself is more into higher self, and just higher purpose, and higher knowing what's in your best interest kind of thing. But again, so being aware that these subtle energies exist, being aware that the ideas of chakras and stuff exist, my question is to you, just Gianna and Genevieve, remind us again, how much we are creating our own reality through those ripples that we are creating within this ocean that's around us.
We definitely all do co-create our realities with the divine and the universe. And if we're stuck in a blaming mentality or such a negative mindset, we're always going to be attracting experiences and circumstances that to make us want to be negative and be blameful of situations and people. But all these situations that are repetitively being brought up in our realities are meant to have us self-reflect and look at the pattern that we're being reflected, and kind of take a step back and observe ourselves and what's going on with ourselves. Because, if we're constantly feeling like a victim, then, the universe is going to bring you a bully to make you keep feeling like the victim, because the divine and the universe it's giving you all the things that it thinks you want, and it thinks that, it's you project out, if you are constantly feeling like a victim, then you send that out into the universe, and the universe is all right, they want to be a victim, let's send them some more bullies. Let's send them, things that make them feel like a victim. If you're sending out and radiating love to everybody, and you're radiating out compassion, you're going to find that these situations and these people and these things are going to come into your reality that are going to make you feel more loving towards everything, and feel more grateful and feel more compassionate. Yeah, and I find that with our YouTube videos, we kind of let people in on our journey, and we just kind of label it ascension. But we go through periods where we're constantly attracting the things we want, and we have abundance in all forms, and we're doing fine. And then we'll go through a pattern will come up, because we've got a hold on a conscious aspect of ourselves, we then move into an unconscious aspect of ourselves. And then when we're experiencing things that we perceive as unpleasant in our reality, it's because the subconscious aspect and the unconscious aspect of ourselves is attracting it in order for us to see it and become conscious of it. So, and then it's meant to, have us analyze it and, self-reflect and use that pattern to become conscious of it, so then we can then become master manifestors, like, with that aspect as well. We just continue on the journey with that.
Cool. Do you have more? You can keep going. I'm just kind of eating some oatmeal, so.
Well, I mean, I guess, like, when sometimes we find that, you know, a lot of us get, like, frustrated and down ourselves and stuff when we like incorporate, like, spirituality into our lives and stuff, and, you know, and what a lot of people don't realize is that our issues and stuff are gonna kind of come to the surface when we feel safe to do so, and whether that be with, like, the people around you or the environment that you're in. So, or just the state of mind you recently acquired where you then feel confident enough to release certain patterns, whether you realize it or not, like, consciously. But I mean, like, I guess a little story or example that I like to use to explain this better is, I mean, like, if someone's got anger inside them, they're not going to lash out at their boss because, you know, they don't know their boss very well, like, on a personal level, and their boss would fire them, and, you know, that would ruin the relationship with their boss. But I mean, for the person would easily freak out on their sibling or their spouse or their parent or their child, because that relationship is goes beyond, like, a professional thing. It's like, it's a bond, and it's and there a lot of the times people lash out their anger and in unconditional relationships, in relationships that they feel will always be there. And that they're safe to do so without, like, ruining the relationship permanently. Yeah. And also, on the other end of that, the person who's being lashed out on, because I'm sure we've all been there. I know we have. We've, you know, lashed out on people and have been lashed out on. And what we have come to consciously realize is that when we are being lashed out on, it's an aspect of ourselves that, you know, we're being presented with in order to make conscious. So when we're being presented with all these things that we see as unpleasant, or, you know, just people, or, these people that we perceive as unpleasant, it's because it's an aspect of ourselves that we perceive as unpleasant, and we have yet to make it conscious. So.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things that you really hit on there, and I apologize. I didn't mean to be rude when I said I'm just eating some oatmeal. In fact, I was pretty much done my oatmeal when I said that. I just was curious to hear what would come out from your end once I just sort of put that out there. And definitely what you guys were talking about, I think is really important. You know, just talking about, like, the ideas of, like, relationships in general, and not even. I mean, one thing that I really bring focus to is the idea of thinking of the word relationships not even as between, like, relationships of, like, us with other people, but also, like, relationships that we have with, like, other objects as well. So what is your relationship between, like, you and your computer, you and your car, like, you and your phone, things like that, and just becoming more conscious. I mean, I think people probably seen, like, there's, like, kind of like a video that went around that was just, like, a video of, like, how disconnected everybody was, and there was, like, this girl on a swing set, like, looking at her phone. Like, I mean, it was just, like, such, like, this tragedy of just how an example of, like, a relationship with a material object just drastically affects, like, the rest of our life and stuff like that. I'd be curious, what do you girls have to say in terms of, like, relationships with the material side of things, and how that can sort of, like, just put us in different places?
Well, definitely we are strong believers in achieving balance in all aspects of our lives. So even with material things, we actually talked about this the other day with our friend. We were talking about indulgence. A lot of people have certain addictions and things like that, which each addiction, you know, kind of personalizes to each person and their experiences. But it's, I don't know, this realm, as you so to speak, is about, you know, experience and learning. So, you know, a lot of people have unhealthy relationships with things because they're overindulging. That, like, exist in this realm, like, things that are material. And they're just kind of learning to, you know, exploring, trying to attain balance on levels that they aren't quite conscious of yet. And in order to realize what overindulgence is, they have to overindulge at some point. So. Yeah, and definitely, at least what we believe for the most part is that material objects are things that you shouldn't like attach to or rely on, because I mean those are temporary. They're all temporary, and they should only be used as like tools. Definitely utilize them as tools to help you with experience, but never to rely on them for your experience. And never attach these unhealthy relationships and codependence with objects.
I'll just jump in. Like I agree. I think bringing it back to the idea of a tool, using anything can be a tool. It's choosing how you use it. But I mean, as soon as you start like abusing it, it's not necessarily like a tool anymore. Or rather, it's like a tool that you're like, instead of building a house, you're like breaking down a house, or some sort of metaphor like that. I mean, obvious things are like everything, again, there's balance. Can something such as alcohol be used as a tool for your spiritual progress? I would absolutely say yes. And then at the same time, my other answer would be that like the other side of it is that like, of course, if you drink too much of it though, then is that really helping your spiritual path? Well, if your spiritual path is to get like, just like crunked off your ass all the time, then I guess that's your choice. But I mean, it definitely won't help with your meditation and bring it back to the idea of like psychic abilities and everything like that. Like being caught up and wrapping this in with like the relationships to material objects, like being caught up in these material things are things that are distracting our focus from the attention that we can put towards like the subtle energies of like just getting like more in tune with ourselves, and ultimately being able to like find that alignment to source that leads us towards like a genuine happiness, opposed to like what we were talking about, like with the materialistic side of things, which obviously just brings like transient, momentary like glimpses of happiness that in itself, like I mean, are never lasting. But like, what in itself is true happiness? So I can put that forward as a question to you two. Like, what do you feel is like the definition of like happiness, so to speak?
Well, actually, I kind of wanted to bounce off your.
Go for it. Yeah.
We'll get to that.
No problem.
But what Gianna and I have come to experience and witness also is when people fall into, certain unhealthy relationships with, things like alcohol and, whatever. A lot of the times, you have to experience like that darker aspect of yourself in order to, become aware of it. So a lot of people, may get down on themselves, and it's like, it's helpful for you to indulge at some point, but when you begin to overindulge, you then become, you kind of stay in a stagnant vibration, and where you're no longer moving forward, but you're kind of sitting in your shit, so to speak, and you're not moving forward, so it can then become a hindrance. So it's all about, experiencing those darker aspects of this reality and yourself, because, they they do exist. So and they need to be healed and nurtured, and you have to experience those aspects in order to bring them into your consciousness, into awareness. So definitely, yeah. But as far as happiness,
no, that was good. Keep going.
Happiness, I guess, really. Happiness is really like a choice. Like, I've come for personal experience, like, I mean, you should never make happiness like a goal, or like I'll be happy when I get my new car, I'll be happy when I move out of here, or, etc. Yeah, like, I mean, because happiness is really a choice, and it kind of comes along with choosing like that mindset, and then choosing reality. Choosing how you react to situations. Yeah, and then your reality kind of matching that. Because I mean, really, if you like rely on other people and other outer things for your happiness, then you're never like. I mean, that's a rocky road, I mean, but a solid something that is constant, always stable, and that you can always control is your and your mind and your reactions. Yeah. So I mean, once you make that choice to be happy, your reality is going to match you on that, and you're just going to Yeah, a metaphor I like to use is we're all about the metaphor. Yeah, sorry, that way. But relying on your relying outside of yourself for happiness is kind of like trying to fix your hair by touching your reflection in the mirror. Like, it's not going to work.
Yeah, definitely. Like, I think just saying happiness is a choice is absolutely it, because I think in every situation there always is going to be that silver lining. There is always going to be, even when crappy stuff happens. And I had a good thing that I said to someone just earlier today. They were kind of like talking about something similar, where they were just saying, like, I just feel like I'm getting down on myself, sort of thing. Okay, since I just want to like share like what I told them, because I knew they said it turned out good, like the idea of just sort of like reflecting on struggles or pain that we might currently find ourselves in. And this is actually kind of going back to like the thoughts within an ocean idea. But what I said, I think one thing that kind of helps is the idea of being aware of what you're tuning into. We exist in an ocean of thoughts. We are not our thoughts. We are merely tuning into a variety of infinite thoughts, such as happiness. So in that sense, you are not your sadness. You are rather tuned into that emotion of sadness. In the same way that you can, tune into something else, i.e., appreciation and resilience. Also, it helps to think about the idea that in 3 months from now, you'll look back and think, yep, if things didn't happen the way they did, I wouldn't be where I am now. And I'm happy to be where I am now. Because there is always that idea that we choose the scenarios for ourselves so we can learn to grow from them. So if anything, just make sure you take the time to reflect on whatever it is you can learn from the experience, and then give yourself permission to step forward into new and exciting unknown. So, I don't know, what are your girls' thoughts on that? I mean, again, this is like going back to like the repeating thing. Like, this is like, but yes, the more we say it, the more we're like, yeah, that's starting to make sense. So, did that make sense to you guys?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, well, again, with, I don't know, I'm kind of the devil's advocate, but not really. I guess when people are like, well, we're not this, but I'm the same thing, like, we are everything, like, we are that. So, I don't know, like, we're not those thoughts, but we are all of those thoughts. So it's kind of like tuning into certain aspects of yourself also. So I guess you could really play that either way, though. But, I don't know, it just kind of goes to, like, with the happiness is a choice thing, like, individualizing that into certain circumstances, such as, if someone's, out to pick a fight, obviously it's with themselves, not you. But, if somebody, just runs into you and is like, watch where you're going, you could turn around and be like, F you, dude, you watch where you're going. Or you could just be like, oh, whatever, I wish you the best, you're, obviously just having a bad day or something. But, it just kind of comes to how you choose to react to situations. So that's a choice as well as happiness, so.
Yeah, yes, absolutely. And going back to what I was just sort of focusing on before, like the idea of like psychic abilities and stuff, to me, maybe like by the end of this episode, or at least like by the time you're listening to this, like, I mean, I think there's sort of like the cliche idea of psychic of just meaning like, oh, you can read other people's thoughts. But I think to me, psychic, being more psychic, literally means just being like more aware, more in tune with the variety of the energies out there, and within that process, the side effect in itself like could relate to like more mindfulness, which again relates to like more choice. So just kind of like going off that angle. I mean, explain to us some more like kind of like practical ways that people can become like more like psychic, in the sense of like just more aware of the idea that this physical body is a vehicle, and like this reality is not as cut and dry as it appears to be, so to speak.
Well, something that we would have a lot of people do when they're like, oh, I want to, get more in touch with my gifts, or teach me how to be psychic, or, whatever. But, it's obviously not that simple, but is to become conscious and observe their thoughts when they feel a certain way. And like, especially when they're like in like a more crowded environment, like in public and stuff. Like, I mean, if you're randomly like in a mall and you start to feel sad and depressed, and you're not even thinking about anything that's making you sad and depressed, and so it's like, what's going on? You know, a lot of people aren't even gonna like second guess that because they're like, oh, I'm just not depressed, you know, like. But in all reality, they could just be like tuning into like an energy around them from a person, or you know, from an object that kind of had some auric remnants on it that from a depressed person or something, you know. And it's kind of about getting in touch. Something that we have advised a lot of people do first is get in touch with their own energy and differentiate their own energy from the energy in their environment and the other people's energy in their environment. Yeah, and also like our first major step is to become clear. And when we say become clear, we like the first way to be able to do that is to become aware of yourself and aware of your the impact of your thoughts and your actions and your energies. So, and then you know, then moving forward with the energy of your environment and other people. But a lot of people like to just kind of start out like, oh, teach me how to be psychic, and then they jump out and they're like, okay, take a number between 1 and 10. I think you're saying 3. You know, they just want to dive right into 7. Yeah, they want to dive into other people when they need to get aware with themselves and become conscious of themselves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like thanks for sharing that and like those awesome reminders. And I do definitely have like more that I do want to just like continue to roll within this direction, because I think it does bring up some really, really positive and some really like good reminders for any of us, just sort of like taking those steps towards being more conscious, towards being more psychic in general. And I'll get into those real quick, but I'll also remind people that now would be the time to call in, of course, if you want to share some sort of conversation here with Gianna and Genevieve. If you have a particular question in mind, get that ready ahead of time. And of course, feel free to call in using Skype or through a regular phone. And we'll look forward to hearing you on the air. And of course, anybody, like literally anybody can call in. So we'll just open that up. And I'll also ask, because I mean, we can still fit it in. We'll maybe clock it in at around 10 minutes. Girls, did you want to lead us into a meditation? Is that something? I had mentioned it a while back, but we didn't finalize an idea. How are you feeling about the idea of that?
Not particularly something I'm vibing right now.
Okay. No, that's cool. All right, no, that's cool. I mean, I obviously do want to like remind people that like meditation is a key thing, and technically. Go ahead.
Sorry.
Yeah. No.
I was gonna say. I guess we could just leave with a tip for meditation. And that tip would be, a lot of people come like to us, you know, asking how they can, you know, easily get in that meditative state. And what we like to say is that is really helpful for us, and a lot of people that have came to us with that question is we have them, you know, get in that. You know, a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, I listen to meditative music, but that doesn't really help for me personally. But I just like to, you know, sit, you know, with my legs crossed, crisscross applesauce, or however you say it. And then, you know, I do mudras, and I do deep breaths while I'm doing my mudras, and I just focus on my breath. And that really helps you to, you know, get out of your mind and your wandering thoughts. So, and acknowledge those wandering thoughts, but don't, like, zone into them, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like the idea of kind of similar to the ocean metaphor, like the thoughts that we observe going by are like a fish. Like we don't have to reach out and grab it. We can just like let it go by and yet also observe it at the same time. Yeah. Like I mean, we can talk about meditation right now, and it does segue into the continued conversation about like just like what does it mean to be like more psychic and stuff, because like psychic is a technique, it is a skill, it is a practice, but it's also a way of being relaxed, and getting into like that relaxed state is when we can actually like listen, and not even just listen with our ears, like listen with like every single molecule of our body to itself, and also to like the energy around it and stuff. So I mean, yeah, like just being like quiet and in that like calm and practiced state allows us to tune into like the subtle energies that we can like move throughout our body. Like, have you girls, how conscious are you of that? Like the idea of like kind of like moving energy within your own body, similar to, I'm kind of thinking along the lines of like qigong and tai chi and stuff. Is that something that you girls sort of work within any of your practice? Well, I mean, yoga, I would imagine.
don't really know. Well, for me, I've actually had some experiences where, because we do Pilates a lot, we love Pilates, and it's like, it's like a mix between like regular exercise and yoga, or even when we're doing yoga. And I find that like when I'm, I know, like, I guess a good way to put it, like, let's say, for example, like you're doing crunches and you're like, oh God, I'm feeling the burn. Like, I'll just like, I'll focus my energy, like I'll make a conscious effort to like focus like I feel my energy like kind of building up, like, you know, for, like in my ab area. Then I'll like consciously focus on the energy flow of my body, and I'll move it and make sure it's flowing. And then I no longer am like, oh God, I'm dying. And then I like, you know, close up your feet. Yeah, definitely helps. Yeah. So for any of you guys that like to exercise, try that. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, and there's some other things. So again, reminding people like, yes, like get like physically involved like with your body, and just like allow yourself to create like more like space for the energy to flow through you is one technique, like one like tip, just in terms of opening yourself up to like the psychic abilities and just like whatever it is that you're trying to pursue in general. Another thing I was going to bring up, I had the thought come to me a couple of weeks ago, but I haven't mentioned it on the radio show, but it involves the idea of crystals, and of course like people talk about like you know, like stereotypical like psychics, and they have like crystal balls and stuff like that, and so to speak. One idea that came to my attention with crystals is the idea that it's not necessarily so much like which crystal or what it does. It's more so about the placement, and the placement like relative to like your own body, or the placement like within like a physical area, like a grid. So I'm curious, like what are your thoughts on crystals? How do you use crystals?
Well, definitely I would agree with that. I feel like they, it's more of like a tool to utilize. It's, I don't know, kind of like tarot cards, like, well, kind of like crystals, like kind of channel like an intention, really. Yeah, so it's pretty much like helping you focus your energy point, really. Like kind of like similarly, tarot cards kind of help you with like a visual for your intuition. It's kind of like that, except with energy. It's like a physical form that helps you channel your energy. Yeah. I don't really like use rocks and crystals as much as I used to, but unless like every now and then, like like before like a house clearing or something, my guys will be like, hey, grab some black onyx, you know, and then and they're like, oh, give it to the lady. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, sure. Yeah, it's definitely something that a lot of people, I don't know, I feel like it's more they're tools that not always are needed. You know, for example, if you feel an imbalance in a certain chakra, and a certain type of stone helps you with that particular chakra and getting it in balance. Like amp your energy. Yeah, it's definitely like a tool that can be utilized, but not something that is needed all of the time, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And again, like any tool can serve its purpose, and I think just what I think about crystals, I think crystals are really cool. I'm fascinated by them, and even the idea that crystals in themselves are like a living organism, if you want to think about it that way. Same way that like a rock's alive, so to speak. But I mean, crystals are just like these like solidified things of light, in the same way like we're all like made of light, you know, light just sort of compounded in different patterns, and we create these things called like molecular structures and molecules, and building upon itself we create this human form that doesn't look like it's necessarily light, but it's still made of light. In the same way crystals are literally like just these like ice cubes of light, so to speak. But I think the idea that they can amplify energy, and they can amplify intention, and they can also like purify in the same way. So my introduction to crystals, and it's always been like a very like base level introduction, like one that's simple and yet applicable, is the idea that like a crystal is something that can absorb like negative energy around you, so that you don't necessarily absorb it onto yourself. So when we were talking about earlier, like if you go into a place of like a lot of other energy, like you're walking into the ocean of your environment, if you go into like a place that's full of like negative people and everything, then your energy is going to be interacting with that. But if you have a crystal, you program the reality. You like hack the matrix. You create that intention that, okay, this crystal is going to like absorb that energy. You literally like tell it that, and it will be like, okay, I'll do that. And then in that process, like you can come out of it with, like, without having like all that excess gunk, so to speak. And yeah, I mean, does that idea in itself, what do you guys think? Does that make sense?
Yeah, well, I also
definitely like programming it.
Yeah, but you can also do that like almost with your physical vessel as well, like
exactly.
Yeah, you can program like your physical body to adjust to your environment and kind of do that in a sense. Yeah, if that makes sense. Well,
yeah,
I mean,
go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, what you were saying, that just pretty much sounded like how to like program a crystal, like 101 pretty much. And you can like do that with like intentions or visualizations, or like possible like want to associate like work associate a certain type of energy, like love energy, with like a color or a symbol or a shape, whatever resonates with the individual. Like whether you visualize a heart or pink energy, like for like love energy, or you just have to repetitively say love, 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 love. Yeah, I mean there's like a lot of ways you can go about doing that, and you don't need a crystal like to play around with some love energy. I mean, definitely something that I would do too is like how you would program a crystal in whatever way resonates. Form. Yeah, you just thought form. But you would set the intention just rather than directing it to a stone or a crystal. You would just set the intention like overall, and then that's kind of you programming yourself to do that task with the crystal, or like the energy, like, or whatever you're trying to do. Like if you're using like the stone or crystal like for the energy in an environment, you can just go directly to the energy of that environment with your with the power of like your mind, like with your intention set in your mind.
I think this is like such an awesome idea, and I've been telling people about it, but it's basically the idea of like within this reality, like take this with you, like the idea of create your own placebos. And people will say, well, the placebo effect is da-da-da-da-da. Well, I know it is, and that's the whole point. It works. It's actually something that can happen, in the idea that you could, like, take a rock, a simplistic rock, and say, like, this is going to do this. And then if you, like, keep that on you, every time you see that rock, your mind is reminded of that. And that's where I think something, whether it be a rock or a crystal, actually are useful as tools, because they help bring those reminders into the forefront of our consciousness. So, I mean, even for me, like I have a recent fluorite crystal that I've been carrying with me for a few weeks, and I've created the pattern. I've created the intention of like keeping it in my front pocket when I do some of my free hug stuff, and I just say like, okay, this is gonna like attract people to like love and everything, and it's just gonna give like an extra boost sort of thing. Now, of course, I don't theoretically need that crystal there. Of course, having it there doesn't hurt the experiment, and it can actually just allow you to take that step towards like realizing that, of course, like you don't need that crystal, but you can use that crystal within those moments to help you be reminded. So every time I like was reminded that the crystal was there, it would help like reinforce that intention, that thought. So I mean, you can, it literally, like, this is the stuff I'm really fascinated in, because this is like actual magic. Like this is the stuff that I really feel that I was like, that I came into this incarnation with the intention of sharing, is the idea of magic, and like even sigil creation. Sigils are symbols with intention behind them. Like the Paradigm Shift logo is a sigil. Most logos are sigils, and that in itself like has like a lot of energy behind it. But again, going back to what the girls are saying, it really is just us remembering how much we can create our own reality, and just like the different ways that we can do it. So girls, I'll pass over to you again. Like I'm gonna bring on our buddy Paul in a couple minutes, but just remind us again of like other ways or just other things that you want to share in general about like how we can be that magician like within this matrix to create it. Sorry, girls, can you hear me?
I'm sorry, what was that last part?
Oh, okay, might have chopped out. Oh no, I was just asking how like the idea of just like what other ways that like we can like create within this reality. If you guys just had any other general thoughts to go out on, just reminding us of just like how much we are the creators of our own reality.
Well, I guess like a broad overstatement of discussing like these certain tools would just be like these are just things that are helping us become conscious of our own power. Kind of like going back to like psychedelics, it's something that is, you know, you're using that as a tool to help you do something you could do naturally, and you're doing that with, you know, stones, and, you know, every now and then when I'm feeling, you know, when I'm not so trusting of my own intuition, I'll take out some tarot cards every now and then, and that'll help me, you know, get back, you know, my trust in my own intuition. It's just kind of, we have all these tools that are in physical form that help remind us that we are capable of achieving it, you know, with or without it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And okay, well, since you did mention tarot cards, I think that is just something to just sort of like fit in under this umbrella conversation, because I think tarot cards are so key, and it does relate to this idea of the universe communicating back to us through the language of symbols, which is something I touched upon earlier when I mentioned that we were going to talk about like things like 1111 and 555. So girls, like just in a way that you would explain it to like a child or someone who didn't know much about this stuff or didn't was introduced to this stuff. What is the purpose, like what is the idea behind something such as tarot cards, and also like tying that into like symbolism that we see, such as like 1111 or 777, etc.?
Well, usually like in a reading, a tarot reading, the broad overview of any kind of reading you're doing, you're just gonna mix the deck, and then whenever you feel guided to stop mixing, you're going to lay out the cards in, you know, whatever layout you choose. Then you're going to flip them over and, you know, read what specific or broad meaning of the card applies to the reading. And, well, I just kind of fit it to, like, the situation. It kind of applies to the situation, but, really, like, the tarot cards, when you're like when you feel guided to stop, you're pretty much like relying on like the main source of information to like from the tarot cards, but you are like kind of exercising your intuition when you're like, oh, I feel like I should stop now, and then you lay them out, and then it's kind of like a safer way to use your intuition. Yeah, and then because you have those physical cards in front of you to help you, you know, like, oh, all failed, I can just blame the card, right? Stupid card. And when you're like just learning how to do tarot, and like there's like a book that comes with like tarot cards usually, that kind of like tells you what the cards mean, and then you kind of like using like it's kind of like a broad tarot cards are like a broad, like for each tarot card, depending on whether it's reversed or like upright or whatever, or what position it is in the. It's kind of like a broad definition, pretty much, and then you like have to use your intuition and apply it to like the positioning of the card and to the situation of the person getting the reading. So that's also like how it kind of works your intuition. Yeah, so you're just kind of stimulating something that's in use inside of you. Yeah, and then you can kind of like take out the tarot cards and because you're kind of in touch with that intuition, so, you know, like, you don't really need the cards, you know, that makes sense.
Yeah, I always, I kind of did mention earlier in the show, but I always think back to the idea of, like, symbols are the language that the universe uses to communicate to itself. So, I mean, the symbols that you get on tarot cards are varied, and then, of course, like, there is, like, the encoded, the traditional meanings behind them, and then there's, like, the way that you can just interpret it based on how you're feeling in that moment. But I think that's an awesome idea about tarot cards is that it actually is this opportunity for the universe itself, like the awareness that exists beyond the present moment, to be able to send back information to you in the present moment to help give you some sort of like guidance, some sort of tip, some sort of something. Because I mean, like literally, like using tarot cards is like sort of like a way for us wizards in the present to be able to get a glimpse of the future, or at least to be able to get a hint of how we should go about approaching it. so to speak. So I mean, yeah, like what do you girls think of that idea of just like using tarot cards as sort of as like an actual way that we are seeing into the future, like through these physical tools once again?
Well, the future is always an iffy topic because everybody, you know, has been given the lovely, you know, free will. So it's always from that point in time, I guess. Like before you've made any future decisions, it's always from that. Yeah, if you're like pretty much going from like choice point A, like if you keep going down path A, then this is how it's going to lay out. But I mean, you could always make a different choice and then wham, you're on freaking path B, and then like that outcome doesn't happen. You know, it's different. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah. Go ahead.
Endless possibilities always.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, and for me personally at least, I do think that within those infinite possibilities, there are the ones that are part of our self, you refer to as a higher self or whatever, knows are like more like nurturing to us. So I mean, there's like those parts where like that intuition will want to see us like go in that direction for the sake of like achieving something, opposed to perhaps like repeating a very similar lesson of something we've already done before until we eventually kind of like move into that like that tree branch in the future that is like within like more light, which does like just help us grow in a different way. I mean, that's just kind of one way I think about it in the idea of like the future branches out and the past as well branches out. So like we are like the root of the tree right at like the middle point. But yeah, like I think symbols and everything are just like something we can keep in mind. And I mean, the topic of like 11/11, we could spend a lot of time talking about that. I did want to mention. I do want to bring Paul on as well again, and I'll bring him on in a couple minutes. And I also want to mention, in terms of like this psychic topic that we're talking about, I did see a comment from Monica actually in the live chat, one of our Paradigm Shift admins in Chicago, and she was just talking, and I'll just share the story that she shared real quick. She was talking about the idea of like how she was like getting energy work on a table, you know, like just like hands on, like Reiki. Her friend was doing energy work on her and had her hands on her head. And then like Monica was lying there and she was like, you know, meditative state, very calm, very relaxed. Her like mind was like empty, like she sort of said. And then she said that suddenly like a Taylor Swift song came into her head. And she's like, what the hell? Like, why? Like, where? What? Like, you know, like I don't even listen to Taylor Swift. What's going on? And then like afterwards, if I'm telling this right, I think her friend actually said to her and be like, hey, like, you know, like, well, you're like on there, like doing the energy work, like, did you hear a Taylor Swift song by chance? And she's just like, yes. And then she's like, oh, okay, cool. So like her friend actually like was intentionally trying to be psychic within that moment to like implant that specific song at that time. And I just thought that was like a really funny and peculiar story to share, like in terms of the psychic stuff. Have you girls ever had like heard of something similar, or experienced similar things specifically?
Well, I don't really, like, I mean, we have like a lot of like synchronicities, I guess, like that, like through our readings, like depending on, like, I mean, if we like tap in to like their energy, you know, just like, yeah, like synchronicities like that happen. So, I mean, yeah, I kind of actually wanted to mention something about the choice point topic. And something like Gianna and I noticed is when we make a certain decision and it keeps, let's say we're on, you know, pathway A, and then we make a decision and then we're shifted to pathway B. And, you know, for example, we make a decision to go meet this person, and then because we manifest everything into our reality, a more of our intuitive, unconscious aspect of ourself will kind of manifest certain things into our reality to get us ready for that thing that is coming into our reality from where we are at now. For example, when Gianna and I decided that we wanted to move in with our friend in Wichita, we would begin seeing people who resembled her, you know, in our day-to-day lives, like physically. It was like the universe or an unconscious aspect of ourselves manifesting them into our reality slowly but surely.
I think that's pretty funny when like we're just being reminded of the fact that like everything is like a reflection of ourselves. So I mean, yeah, like whether it be through like the songs that we're hearing on the radio or the people we're seeing that like remind us of other things and everything. So yeah, the universe is always trying to communicate with us, and the more psychic we become, the more we can read that, the more we can begin to like see how involved we are and how much we can like set that intention within the present moment. So all right, well, I will say with only 10 minutes left in the show, I think let's bring on Paul. But I mean, girls, you're still hanging out with us, and I just Paul. This is the same Paul who's sponsoring this episode, and the wayof.co.uk is what you can check out in terms of the website for that, and we'll talk about that in a minute. But there's a lot of stuff that we haven't touched on this episode, and you know, you girls are always welcome to like come back on another time. I mean, I was just thinking of the topic of dreaming and everything like that. Like, I'd love to sort of like hear your take on that. I'm not totally sure if this would fit into this episode, but perhaps another time. What I was going to say though, in theme with like developing psychic abilities, and I'll bring Paul on in a second. And I just wanted to mention it real quick, because I do think it's like it's a fitting thing, and it's a valuable piece of information, and like for the males out there, it's something that we are not reminded of enough. And just from my own experience, like, it is the idea of like cultivating male sexual energy, like the seminal fluid, the like elixir of life. You've heard me talk about it before in the past, but just as like a reminder, and the idea that like through like being more conscious of that, like you can actually like use the energy that builds up in the root chakra, and like move it all the way up through your chakras, like into your brow, into your crown, and that in itself can be thought of as like a lubricant for psychic abilities, if you want to think about it that way. And this is like I haven't gotten this far for myself, but like, I mean, you know, you go through the several weeks and you start to feel the energy physically build up inside you. You can feel it like a fire, like in a literal way, and that is like that male energy, like the I forget, like I always mix up yin and yang, which one's which. Paul will be able to correct us on that, but like this is like seriously, like straight up, like once you like get to like 13 weeks of like holding on to your seed, holding on to like your elixir, you get heat vision, which is just like crazy stuff. So I'm just putting that out there, and yeah, obviously I don't take that how you want. I mean, is he joking? Is he not joking? I don't know. Find out for yourself. So Paul, we're gonna bring you on and remind us of some more ways that we can become psychedelic superheroes. So Paul, if you're ready, here we go. Hey Paul.
Hi Skull. Hi girls.
Cool. All right,
well,
Paul. Just bouncing off that idea and anything else you want to mention, we got about 7 minutes. Just go ahead. I'm sure you're loaded with information. There's so many different things. Crystals. Crystal rock. You girls did a wonderful thing about, and also Skull was mentioned about the placebo effect. Is that basically in the medical profession, the placebo effect has been used for the last 50 years. Is that in every time a new medicine brings out, they bring out the placebo effect. Well, they bring out the placebo. It's a test. They have to do that test with all medicines that still exist. They have to do the test. Now, what most people don't realise is that there is a possibility, a 5% possibility, that the medicine you're taking is a placebo. Now, out of those placebos, 70% of those placebos, or whatever that medicine is, works, which means that a person taking that pill thinking it is whatever it is, whether it's a headache or even for cancer or whatever it is, 70% of those people taking those pills, it is still working, even though it's a placebo effect, even though the pill is just literally a sugar tablet. So that's basically saying whatever you believe is true. Is that the mind is so powerful. You know, we have the ability to heal ourselves. We have the ability to create our own psychedelic drugs. The pineal gland naturally creates DMT. I always trip over this word. Dimethyltryptamine. Thank you. Yeah. Which is a natural hallucinogenic drug. You know, our bodies are super, super cool. We are super, super, super cool. You know, it's real corny, but you are awesome. You know, every individual has the ability to do so much stuff. So, you know, with the whole thing with the placebo, that technically Qigong
yoga, Tai Chi are actually placebos. They are techniques to activate the body, to get the body to do certain things. But when it's very much known in the East of Qigong, which means energy exercise or breath work. Qigong, Tai Chi practitioners, Bakwa, even Kung Fu masters having psychic abilities and being able to do all this really, really cool stuff. And everybody thinks, oh yeah, it's that creates it. But the actual exercise, the system only nurtured what was already there. You know, you already have all these techniques, all these abilities, and it's purely about nurturing them yourself. So if, like for your Reiki, if crystals help you make your Reiki stronger, then cool, use crystals. Use a rock. You use a toilet roll if it helps. You know, it doesn't matter what it is. Because the placebo effect is whatever you believe is true. So if you believe that that's going to work that way, then it will work. Now, the interesting thing is in the media has said for most of its existence is that bad news sells. Well, why? Why does bad news sells? Yep, we have a tendency of being intrigued by stuff, and in the police, or at least in the British police, there's a thing called rubberneckers. That's where people slow down at an accident to look what's going on, and that's why there's a lot of traffic. A lot of the time on motorways is where there's an accident, people slow down to look, because we are curious. But just because, you know, the whole point is, don't focus on the negative, focus on the positive. If you want to manifest your reality, then you manifest your reality not focusing on what you don't want. You focus on what you do want. Mm-hmm. But also there are certain people out there who say, you want to manifest something, you actually focus on you've already got it. If you yes. imagine that you already have it in your life, and then, because they talk about compassion and gratitude, you imagine already having it and feeling how gratified and the gratitude you would have and how grateful you would be by having that thing, you are more likely to manifest it. And with
Paul,
NLP,
I'll just say we only got a couple minutes, so
3 minutes. Yep, no worries. So placebos work, and they work
Absolutely.
Quite simply because you believe they're true. So if you believe it, it will happen.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, again, just like more reminders, like repetition in itself is also like such an important thing. And with that said, with 2 minutes left in the show, I'm going to do the official draw for the 3DL before the show actually wraps up, and then we'll get closing thoughts here from the girls as well. And we'll say that there is an after party Google Hangout. Go to the Facebook page. You'll see it posted there in a second, and you can continue the conversation in the Google Hangout after party that we usually do. So the first official winner of a 3DL ticket is pulling it out of the singing bowl, Jessica, and I'll make sure that I message her. And the second person this is like drawing tarot card, right? So this person's life is about to change purely within this moment, and it is Bonnie. Okay, so I'll make sure I message them. If they're listening now, then huge shout outs to them. And again, reminding everybody that everybody is psychic already, and it is within us. So girls, with 90 seconds, just some closing thoughts. And then, Paul, I'm just going to mute your mic. I apologize. Thanks for being on the show, but we do got a bit of feedback. All right, thanks, Paul. Cheers. Okay, so girls, just with you, go ahead. Just closing thoughts that you want to leave people with, real quick.
I guess something that we just want to remind people of is to always go within, and then whenever your ego comes up, it's always to bring about awareness, not more ego. And it's so tempting to go outside yourself, and really never lasting solution. And let go and let flow.
Perfect. I think that absolutely is like a good reminder to be able to hold on to. Like, I mean, Paul was sort of talking about it, but the idea of projecting into the future, I would just add, look into the future, see that vision for yourself, and believe and know that you're already connected to that future reality, but also move forward without expectations. And that's not to say that you're not manifesting, but just be able to accept whatever the universe brings your way. Sometimes it will throw us a curveball, but those curveballs are there to make us even stronger. So with that said, we're going to wrap up this episode. Thanks again to all you psychedelic superheroes who are tuned in to another episode. And you can find me on Facebook, facebook.com/SkullBabylon. And of course, Gianna and Genevieve are also on facebook.com/CrystalStarseed444 and on YouTube. So find us on Facebook, and ParadigmShiftCentral.com is the place you want to go to. So thanks again, everyone. And until next time, we'll see you in the future. So girls, you can join me in saying goodbye to the internet. So bye, internet. Bye, internet.
Bye.
Bye. Okay. All right. Thanks, guys. Thank you for listening to another episode of Paradigm Shift Radio. If you enjoyed this show and would like to support it and would like to get more engaged with your local community, then consider ordering some Paradigm Shift buttons. Go to ParadigmShiftCentral.com/buttons. And of course, if you'd like even more bonus content, join up as a PSR Plus member at ParadigmShiftCentral.com/PSR Plus. Thank you.